Wax is what divides inline skaters and skateboarders at a skate park. Although we might be sharing the same obstacle, that obstacle reacts differently when there's a lot of wax and there's not enough wax. Depending on the hardware you're using, skateboarders are using wooden decks with metal trucks, and so it requires less wax. The metal on metal slides really good, whereas like inline skating, you have a plastic boot, and the plastic boot on metal requires a lot more wax to accomplish the same velocity that skateboarding has. So that causes a great divide. If I have too much wax on an obstacle, that means the skateboarder can't use it. If there's not enough wax on it, a skateboarder can use it, but an inline skater cannot use it. The divide between inline skating and skateboarding about how much an obstacle can be waxed or not gets pretty aggressive. Fist fights happen because of it. The shopping center in Orange, used to be called The Block, used to have a skate park indoor. So when it would rain, we would want to go rollerblade and we'd go skate a skateboard park. In typical fashion, we would go wax everything. Probably against the rules. I think there were even signs that says no waxing. One skateboarder got really soft about it. He was probably a local. We probably should not have done what we had done, but we were gonna have to do what we needed to do. So we waxed everything. And the kid started whining, and probably rightfully so, but probably didn't have to whine that much. And the tension started rising, and at some point, someone got hit. And let me tell you, it wasn't a rollerblader that got hit. It was a rollerblader doing the hit ting. Skateboarder ended up crying behind the bowl. Not that I'm bragging about who won or whatever, but it was just a really sad sight to see, you know? We don't wanna, why are we fighting with skateboarding and rollerblading just because of like how much wax is on there? And so looking back on it, you know, as much of how whack it was that the kid just kept complaining, I still look back and realize, man, as an inline skater, I was completely selfish, not even trying to consider what they wanted. And he probably didn't have to fucking complain the way he did, but at the same time, he probably had every reason to be mad. We went to his home skate park and just like completely demolished his whole skate session. And being selfish is not cool, one bit. I've also heard of inline skaters getting put into a concussion because some skateboarder was just super pissed at the fact that a rollerblader waxed everything, came up behind the guy and just hit him with the skateboard on the head, no helmet. And the guy was out for like a week. It gets serious, man. This whole inline skating versus skateboarding, because of how much wax is on an obstacle, there has to be better ways to go about this. You might be asking what I'm doing. I am actually switching out my frames. I have aluminum frames here, which are somewhat new to the market. I want to say I'm a little bit late to the game, but there was a pretty dope skate frame that came out by Kyle Sola, who's an engineer first. And these are ground control's answer to those aluminum frames that are out on the market now. Now, these are two different products though, because Solas were engineered to be a little bit lower in height. These ground control ones are very high, tall. These are a lot thicker in the walls, whereas Sola's is a little bit thinner, which is supposed to increase the sole space here when you add it to the boot. I like to ride a 72 millimeter wheel, which is fairly big for aggressive inline skating, whereas the standard is typically 62. I ride an anti-rocker setup, which is soft wheels on the outside to grip concrete, and then hard wheels on the inside so that it does not grip whatever I'm grinding, and I don't have to worry about that. If you were a flat rocker, you would ride the same size wheel throughout the whole frame. What I'm really excited about to test these is that, am I gonna need as much wax at the skate park now? Can I actually skate with skateboarders without having to fight them on how much wax is being used at the skate park? Let's go test it out. Let's go to the skate park now. I'm with my homie Kevin here from Brea. Give us a little heads up, a little bit about the county project and yourself.
Yeah, what's up everyone? So my name is Kevin Javi. I'm the creator of the County Project, which is a brand that represents Orange County through art, fashion, community, and culture. Started it back in 2017, so I've been at it for a little over 6 years. We have a lot of ties really when it comes to like the culture in skateboarding. I grew up skateboarding as a kid, and when I first started the county project, I wanted to incorporate skateboarding into it because the history of skateboarding runs deep through Orange County. We've done workshops teaching kids how to assemble skateboards, clinics teaching them how to ride skateboards. So that's a little bit about me.
You know, I did want to get some initial reactions because you've been in the game for a while, or you've been skating. When you know that like inline skaters are going to be at the skate park, like does the wax part turn you off to the spot, or you're like, I'm not going there, I know it's going to be all waxed up? Or how do you feel when Rollerbladers wax up the skate park?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't care because skaters be waxing the park too. So like skaters be waxing the park, and like they always say when a skater waxes the park, hey, just skate faster. So, but skaters still end up waxing up the park. So it just is like a lost cause at that point. So if anybody's having problems with a rollerblader waxing up the park, or if the park is waxed and you want to blame a rollerblader, look to your fellow brother and sister on the skateboard and make sure that they're not waxing it. But like it's a lost cause at this point, and I'm not sure why like you guys use wax. Is it like because you guys are going fast already, like do you like need the wax regardless of how fast you guys are going, or what's up with that?
Yeah, so the reason why I mentioned the aluminum frames that are hitting the market now is that it's a metal frame, and so in comparison, in the past, inline skaters have always used it's plastic.
Yeah.
A plastic boot, right? So plastic reacts a little bit different the way metal does on coping.
Yeah.
And so like we need a ton of wax to like keep that momentum going, right?
Yeah.
I just actually received an aluminum pair of frames, and like it made me question, like, am I going to be able to, really skate with skateboarders now and not have to, be looking over my shoulder, making sure that like I didn't get someone mad because I waxed it a little too much,
Yeah.
So I actually got into this conversation thinking that like, the animosity with inline skaters is like, oh man, they wax stuff, like, and I don't know if it would deter you, but what you're saying really is it's not the skater, it's the type of skater that's at the skate park that complains, right? It's
Yeah.
I can't have those negative people that like come in complaining at us being the representation of the entire culture, right?
Yeah, remember that. You got to remember that, because there's like the older guys who don't need wax, or the locals that are saying that, but like I feel like there's animosity towards everyone at skate parks. Like as soon as someone I think the biggest reason, like the biggest animosity between inline skaters and skateboarders, and this goes for scooters and BMXers, is just like the snaking and just like I think that's the problem. And like the way that a skateboarder skates the park is different from an inline skater. So there's like always that like crossfire, the crossfire. So it's like, I think that's where the animosity comes from. Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at thecounty.project. And then if you want to check out more about our story and check out like what products we have, you can visit us at thecountyproject.com.
Thanks, bro.
You're welcome, man.
Hell yeah.
I also still needed to answer the question if these frames are going to slide similar to skateboard trucks. So I met up with my skateboard friend Shane and blader bud Gavin. I'm still finding topsides to be very difficult, and Shane recommended that I grind the paint off the frames, break them in.
This is the homies.
Hi, I'm Shane. I skateboard. I'm addicted to wax.
I'm Gavin, and I like to rollerblade.
Shane's kind of this anomaly because at Tustin Thursdays, I see him skating with us, and he actually skates with Gavin a lot. It's just weird, and it kind of blows my mind to see like a skateboarder hanging out with a rollerblader. It's almost like seeing a cat and a dog hanging out, right? There's like a very unique relationship that we have here. I mean, so Shane, when you go to the skate park and you see a bunch of rollerbladers, is there any fears, concerns? Like, what is the first thing that kind of crosses your mind when you hit the skate
How
park?
wax is everything.
Really? So that really, I'm not even just like alluding to this, right? This is just like an honest expression, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then for you too, I noticed that you do like wax. Why is that?
Kind of less effort, and it's kind of fun to kind of see how far you can grind.
Gavin, started at Manzanita. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you started skating?
Yeah, so like I was always skating around. I was like one of the few rollerbladers that would show up there consistently. Like I'd see rollerbladers come every once in a while. I had one friend, Johnny, and he'd show up a lot. He was one of the people that got me into rollerblading. And I was skating around skateboarders most of the time, and I hated wax at first. I honestly hated it. They always said go faster, so I went faster. There wasn't many people around me that liked it, except if it was on the ledge or something, you know? So I always stayed away from coping in wax. And then going to Tustin Thursdays, being around other rollerbladers helped me learn that wax is actually very helpful. You just got to lean forward a little bit, and then you're chilling.
Yeah. Shane, so you're familiar with inline and skate culture, right?
Yes.
Do you go to Blade Cup?
No.
Do you go to skateboard events?
I used to.
Yeah.
I used to. Back when I used to rollerblade, I used to go to AIL.
You used to rollerblade at AIL, Amateur Inline League. This is for you. Those of you who don't know, there used to be an amateur competition over at Woodward Skate Park for inliners, and that's hilarious. So, what made you transition?
Tired of the hatred towards like me from the skateboarders, so I kind of ended up just switching over.
Hatred from the.
I'm just tired of like the, how do you say it?
Like
the disrespect, you know, kind of like the vibe of, you know, how we're talking about how skateboarders and rollerbladers kind of clash heads.
Yeah, and so skateboarders, inliners clash heads, and then you chose to be a skateboarder?
Yeah, because majority of my friends were skateboarders.
Oh, okay. But then, wait, how did you get into inline then?
That was that's the first thing I picked up.
Yeah, so you picked up inline, most of your friends were skateboarders, and you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna just be a skateboarder.
Both for a couple years, and then just got stuck on the skateboarding.
That's... Who'd you
I can't believe I can talk. God, that was fucking beautiful. Thank you. Yeah.
My initial thoughts were, at Brea Skate Park, these frames suck. Thought I'd stick with it. I knew that the initial first date should not be my last thought or judgment on these frames. I've been skating the same frame for the past 5 years, so I thought that there might be a break-in period. I stuck with it. I'm probably gonna stick with it a little bit longer. It wasn't until I went to Logan Wells when I met up Shane and Gavin when they talked about the paint having to be scraped off. Once I scraped off the paint, I was able to actually grind again, and that's the one thing all I ask for is when I go to the skate park. Can I just please grind? The frames are good. They're not bad. If you saw that test that we did on the coping, whether it be a skateboard or a rollerblade on plastic frames or aluminum frames or a roller skater on trucks, it all still kind of slid kind of crappy without wax. And then once you put the wax on, we were able to actually grind. So it really is, I think, kind of dependent on the skater. Something we all got to acclimate to for any obstacle. And I think as a skater, that's just something we all have to embrace. My initial thought here was that if I use aluminum frames, am I going to have the same reaction to the obstacles that skateboarders have? And what I've come to realize is that no. The aluminum frames are it's a different grind material. It just sounds way cooler when you grind. It is a lot heavier. It's definitely meant for skate park, so it slides better. It's a little bit of a smoother ride, but the weight distribution still reacts different than how a skateboard would to coping. But what I did come out of this with all these talks with all these people was that I just don't think hardware is going to solve the war between inline skaters and skateboarders when it comes to waxing obstacles at the skate park. The greater lesson here, though, was just that I needed to be a lot more empathetic. What I've also come to learn is that it does encourage me to start talking to skateboarders more. Even though I'm an inline skater or whatnot, I still don't understand a lot of their tricks or whatever, but I should take the time to let them know that, hey, I'm skating this obstacle, I'm probably going to wax it. Are you skating it? And or trying to find some sort of happy medium and skate with them instead of just skating next to them. And that's the biggest lesson here.